So this form of practice, whether it be meditation or other practices, is a time that not only you can magnify what's deeply important to you, but you can be with that and rest into that and let that fill you up and come forward and brighten and have the foreground for that time of practice. And when we use this term practice, it might be even interesting to look at that, because we might think, well, why is it called practice? And I want to share a little vignette of someone who I spoke to a few years back who was sharing with me a story, which I'll have to paraphrase because I don't remember their exact words, but they were sharing a story of how they had been looking for their parent, their mother, and her husband. And so he was looking for them, and they had been lost near in an open space nature area that was quite extensive in scope and size. And there were search parties out looking for this older couple, and they hadn't found them for a few days, and it was becoming worrisome. And he was actually, this son was being interviewed by a news reporter. And the news reporter was, asking him how he was doing. And I forget his exact reply, but she was struck by how calm he was and how he wasn't giving up hope, and he wasn't making any assumptions about the outcome of the situation. And she asked him, how is it that you can be calm in the midst of not knowing what's at stake here, or what's to pass here, what's to come to pass with respect to the outcome? And he said, I've been practicing my whole life for this moment. And so we practice to really develop a deeper groove, a deeper and more strong, magnified sense of what it is to attune to our essence of being that is always and ever okay, that's not defined by timelines, that is in this world and yet is not defined by the strict confines of how we view this world of time and space. And so we can be with our loved ones in ways that we understand that ultimately they're not at a distance, because they are with us in the shared essence of being. And we can be in the present moment because there's this understanding on the level of spirit of our infinite nature that's not defined by past and future. And yet we have these experiences of past and future. We have these experiences of distance. So we have this opportunity of really coming into a greater depth of connection with that aspect of our essence of being that is not strictly defined by these limits of time and space. And so then we can kind of hold this paradox of sensing our infinite nature that is essentially always and ever okay, even when there can be great challenges and fears at hand and great difficulty. I remember when I first was exposed to Adya's teachings, I had essentially, hardly any experience of Zen Buddhism. And Adya mentioned that one of the first precepts that he took when he took the went through a ceremony to be given and to take into his heart these Zen precepts, he mentioned that the first precept is right view. And I don't have the background of Zen to really to give you an authority on how Zen teaches about right view, but I know from my own direct experience that when we're in certain views of who we take ourselves to be, they can lend us toward greater fear or greater suffering or greater division against the events that are before us. And when we can shift our orientation of being, our locus of identity, such that our perspective of the situation shifts, then we have the feeling of right view.